This is the TNA Wrestling Show from August 7, 2025, featuring full show results video. TNA World Champion Trick Williams appears on stage to kick off tonight's broadcast. The champion gets a mixed reaction from the crowd. Trick grabs the mic and immediately calls out Moose, who pinned the champion last week. He blames KC Navarro for the loss last week. Trick says it will be him versus Moose's big old head at TNA Emergence next week. Trick recaps his win over Mike Santana and says he's used to beating his opponents in their hometown. He mocks Moose's family before promising to take out the entire Moose family at Emergence. It's the perfect homage to The Rock's promo on Chris Jericho from the Attitude Era, but before Trick can say more, Moose interrupts. Moose waits a little while before attacking Trick Williams. The champion gets cornered into the turnbuckle. Moose is about to hit the spear, but Trick avoids it just in the nick of time. Trick proceeds to show off the TNA World Championship as he makes his way to the backstage while Moose stands tall in the ring. Gia Miller is back on TNA Wrestling, and Miller thanks Gabby for acting as her replacement while she was recovering from Tessa Blanchard's heinous attack at TNA Slammiversary. Miller says they all are tired of Tessa's bullcrap and vows to kill Blanchard if she ever tries to put her hands on her, much to Gabby's shock. Gia Miller once again thanks Gabby and welcomes Joe Hendry, and Joe says he's glad to have Miller back, as he puts her over as one of the toughest people in TNA wrestling. Hendry then proceeds to mock his opponent for tonight, Mustafa Ali, for hiding behind his Secret Service. He says there are no secrets in TNA, and he'll prove he's the better man against Ali tonight. Mike Santana comes across Sami Callihan backstage, and Santana says he heard Callahan's challenge last week. He accepts the challenge for Emergence, and both men shake hands. Eric Young and the Northern Armory interrupt, then EY mocks both men for their failure, Sami for failing to win against Moose and Santana for losing to Trick Williams in the Slammiversary main event that also featured Joe Hendry. Santana tries to get his hands on EY, but Callihan prevails as the cooler head. Then we saw a match between Steve Macklin versus Jake Something for the TNA International Championship. The match ended in a double countout after both men failed to answer the 10 count. As for the grade, this spot gets an A- because the ending was the perfect way to set up a future match. It's evident this feud is far from over. Macklin and Something were having a hard-hitting contest until both failed to get inside the ring because they were too busy brawling outside. Macklin dropped a couple of F-bombs because he wasn't happy with the outcome. Let's see if we get a rematch at TNA Emergence. Then we see Steph DeLander and Mance-Warner want to talk to Santino Marella in his office, but there's no one inside. Steph gets an idea and immediately pulls her man inside, and we know where this goes from here. Backstage, Cedric Alexander recalls watching TNA wrestling in its heyday. He says he used to call the X Division Championship his birthright when he broke out in this business. Cedric puts over Leon Slater as the youngest X Division champion, but promises to end his reign at TNA Emergence. The next match happened between the Elegance brand versus Laying Lee and Zaya Brookside, and the result of this match was Laying Lee and Zaya Brookside defeated the Elegance brand by pinfall when Laying Lee planted him by Elegance with a spinning facebuster. Then we see Santino and Ariana walk up to the TNA Director of Authority's office. They open the door and catch Steph DeLander and Mance-Warner in the act. Marella screams that his office has been defiled. He says it's TNA Wrestling, not National Geographic. Marella apologizes to Ariana for having to watch what she saw. As Ariana leaves, Marella opens the door once again to get a peek. The camera takes us to the Elegance brand's locker room, where Ash by Elegance is pissed at Em and Heather for losing their match against Laying Lee and Zaya Brookside. Ash says she can't divert her focus from the upcoming TNA Knockouts World Championship match against JC Jane later tonight. She tells them to leave as the segment caps off. AJ Francis welcomes TNA Impact fans to an Emergence edition of First Class Penthouse. Francis says KC Navarro has an announcement to make, and Navarro reveals he re-aggravated his injury a couple of weeks ago. It's unfortunate as KC is suffering from a torn ACL. Then AJ attempts to console Navarro, but immediately changes tone by delivering a quote from the NFL, "Next man up." Francis reintroduces Rich Swann to TNA Wrestling. It's been a year since Swann last appeared on TNA Impact. Navarro is stunned, and Francis says Navarro has always been a substitute. He mocks Navarro for failing to win the tag team titles at Slammiversary. He blames Navarro for costing them the tag team match, allowing Moose to pin Trick Williams last week. AJ and Swann then kick the crutches out of Casey's hands, Then AJ tells a fallen KC to get away from his stage or he'll send him all the way down to the concrete. KC gets up and reluctantly walks to the back as we see First Class back to where it all started, with Swann and Francis as the only members of the group. The next match happened between Mara Saad vs Vicious Vicky, and the result of this match was Mara Saad defeated Vicious Vicky by pinfall with a finisher. The next match happened between JC Jane vs Ash by Elegance for the TNA Knockouts World Championship, and the result of this match was JC Jane won the match, and retains the title by disqualification following a run-in by Masha Slamovich. After the match, Jane attacks Masha Slamovich and calls out the rest of Fatal Influence. Laying Lee and Zaya Brookside join the action. The rest of the TNA Knockouts division show up to clear the ring. The segment ends with Masha, Lay, Brookside, and the Inspiration standing tall. We get TNA World Tag Team Champions the Hardys in a backstage promo segment. Matt says it's good to, once again, become TNA Tag Team Champions. He says it's time to defend TNA's honor and Matt talks about defending the titles in other promotions. Jeff says they are looking forward to whoever steps up to them at Emergence. Santino Marella comes on the stage and announces some big matchups for next week's Emergence. The Knockouts Tag Team Championship will be on the line in a away match. Santino completely botches Laying Lee's name by calling her Zayeli. Marella also books Steve Macklin vs Jake Something for the TNA International Championship, then calls out the Namaths. Nick and Ryan Namath appear and Marella suspends the brothers for putting their hands on security last week on TNA Impact. He tells them they won't be getting a match against the Hardys for the tag team titles. It will be the Rascals against Matt and Jeff at Emergence. Ryan threatens to sue TNA Wrestling and Marella says Nick will be in action at Emergence as he takes on the hometown man, much to Ryan's chagrin. In the main event of the show, we saw a match between Mustafa Ali vs Joe Hendry. In a dramatic and chaotic showdown, Hendry took control early, slamming Ali to the mat and winning over the crowd with his dominance. However, Ali quickly regrouped, consulting with Order 4 at ringside before Hendry hit him with a delayed suplex. Ali slipped outside to recover, but Hendry followed, landing vicious chops. The tide turned when Order 4 distracted Hendry, allowing Ali to catch him with a diving attack and lock in a chinlock back in the ring. Hendry powered out and launched a fiery comeback, even battling Order 4 on the outside. Back in the ring, he nearly sealed the deal with an Olympic slam for a near fall. As Hendry fended off interference from the Secret Service, he delivered a cutter and his signature standing ovation finisher to Ali. Just when victory seemed certain, Tasha Steelz yanked the referee out, halting the count and plunging the match into chaos. The Great Hands stormed the ring, attacking Hendry while the official was still down. But Hendry wasn't done yet. He dodged a 450 splash, fought off the Great Hands, and slammed Ali with a powerbomb followed by an attitude adjustment. A backup referee appeared, but Ali narrowly kicked out at 2. Just as momentum seemed to favor Hendry, Tasha Steelz struck again, grabbing his leg. Ali capitalized, tossing Hendry outside where Agent Zero delivered a brutal boot and sent him back in. Ali then hit a picture-perfect 450 splash, scoring the controversial pinfall victory in a match filled with interference, drama, and sheer chaos. Order 4 celebrates the victory after the match, and the show goes off the air. How much would you rate this week's TNA show? Tell me in the comments, and thanks for watching.